topic of today's webinar is sun worship in India, as I have already mentioned in my introductory talk. Before speaking on the subject, I would like to mention that earlier also Kachchh Museum Bhuj has spoken about the objects displayed in the museum, and those two talks were specialized talks in some way or another. Kachchh Museum has two stone sculptures of sun in its collection. One belongs to the 3rd century AD, while the other one is almost 250 to 300 years old of 18th century. Whatever topic I have selected is actually too vast and big, and it is not possible to cover the entire thing into 2 hours webinar. Although I have tried to bring various different aspects of sun worship in India, uh, it is natural that so many things might have been left behind. The entire things cannot be covered, as the Vedic age, the epic age, and the Puranic age. They are too rich in terms of knowledge, in terms of philosophies, and other things in general. So, although I have tried to cover few things, but let's introduction of the sun worship in India. Sun actually has been one of the most impressive phenomena of nature, which has evoked admiration and reverence from man all over the world in ancient times. No doubt that the worship of sun is one of the common features of the religious life of not only the Indians, not only of Indo-Aryans, but also of Indo-Europeans and Indo-Iranians as well. The sun was worshipped under various forms and manners in the Vedic tradition. Here, one thing I would like to mention that although there are total 4 Vedas, but whereas the sun worship in India is concerned, we find the reference of sun worship in Rig Veda and in some parts of Atharvaveda only. So sun has been worshipped under various forms and name in the Vedic tradition, and it appears that he was worshipped in the Vedic period in its different positions, such as the rising sun, the sun as its zenith, the setting sun, and the nocturnal sun. Surya is the rising sun. If I talk about the sun worship in general, I'll say that uh, आमतौर पे कहा जाता है कि sun worship, but there are various synonyms of Surya, various synonyms of sun, and each synonym has a different function to perform. For example, Surya is the rising sun. भानु की अगर बात करें, मित्र की अगर बात करें, सावित्री की अगर बात करें, तो they have, although they all are the synonyms of sun, but they have a different functions to perform altogether. Because in Savitri we find the features of the setting sun. Though he's connected with the rising sun too, at times he's connected with the rising sun too. So it can't be said कि नहीं इस तरह से तो बताया था कि setting sun के साथ है, but he at times he has been connected with the rising sun as well. And Varun has been taken as the nocturnal sun. As antithesis in Varun, Mitra is the sun god of the day. So there are various synonyms and various aspects of sun, and every aspect has a different function to perform. The sun was worshipped at different periods of the day is clearly stated in the Vedic literature. There are various forms of sun, and each form of sun has been worshipped. It is mentioned in the Vedic literature. And another reason for the multiple names and forms of the sun god in the Vedic period was that different aspects of the sun were worshipped, giving rise to independent sun gods. For example, I would like to give an example that the stimulative aspect of the sun came to be worshipped under the name of Savitri, whereas the Mitra is also a synonym of sun. Mitra represents the friendly and beneficent nature of the sun. Surya is particularly connected with the light-giving aspect of the sun. There is also one form of sun which is known as Pushan. So Pushan was the sun god of prosperity and was chiefly connected with the pastoral and commercial life. In the Ashwins, the healing aspects of the sun is very important. So we can see that there are different forms of sun, and each form has a different function to perform. Like we see that in ancient Babylonian also. If you talk about, I have spoken about the in terms in the context of India, but if we talk about the ancient Babylonian civilization, the sun was worshipped under various names such as Shamash, Jhabbar. These are the Babbar. These are the various terms which have been used in the other alien civilizations, different civilizations as well. But there are the main reason for this variety of name. It was that different localities had their own name of the sun god. So in Vedic India, such factors does not seem to have been operative. Uh, because there is no indication in the Vedic literature that a particular god was a deity of a particular locality. So the concept of a city god so prominent was in ancient Babylonia and Greece appears to have some foreign, uh, mm, have been foreign to Indian religion, to Vedic Indian. While I'll talk about the iconographic features, then we'll come to know that what are the alien features that have been introduced in the iconography of the sun. There is a solar group of gods as well. It is a it would be truism to say that there is a group of the sun gods in the Vedic literature, and generally it is agreed that Surya, Savitri, Mitra, Vishnu. Vishnu is also considered as one of the form of Surya, Pushan, and Bhag. They are the members of this group. And there is one more category of the sun gods in Vedic literature, which is comprised of those gods whose original basis appears to have been solar, but who have been completely disassociated themselves from this basis and have worship, come to the worship on account of their some leading trail independently of the sun. What I'm saying that in the earlier Vedic literature, the Indra and Varun, these were considered as the solar deities, and they were uh, traced on account of their independent position. Later on, they were traced on account of their independent position, so they cannot be included in the list of the sun gods. But earlier, they were worshipped as a part of the sun god, and there was a category, whereas the sun gods in the Vedic literature is concerned. And Surya is the most concrete of the solar devices, as he represents the simplest and most direct form, that is the round red orb of the sun. If we talk about because in what happened in Vedic literature there was in Vedic times there was no human form of the sun. He was only represented as symbols, and uh, uh, not only with the symbols, but with the form of animals as well. Yeah, the various aspects of Surya. It is said that Surya has different various aspects. He is considered as the bestower of light. So he represents primarily the light giving aspect of the sun in Vedic literature. And in the Rig Veda, it is said that at the approach of the all illuminating sun, uh, the constellations depart from the sun with the light like thieves. It has been said in the ऋग वेद कि जिस तरह से उसके आने से जैसे रात्रि इस तरह से भाग जाती है कि जैसे जो है वो चोरों की तरह से. He is the source of light and his departure brings the blackness of the night. जैसे ही सूर्य का आगमन होता है वैसे ही अंधकार का अंत होता है. And he's also considered, the second aspect of sun is that uh, he's a moral force, so closely connected with light giving and all seeing qualities of Surya are the ethical and moral qualities. It is said that while the earth is upheld by truth, the sky is upheld by Surya. So the Surya plays the same role in the heaven which truth plays the role on the earth. It is a metaphorical thing which has been said about that Surya is a moral force. He trumps over beings of darkness and witches and brings the light. The the third aspect of Sur is that he is a healer as well. So normally Sur is a benevolent deity in the early Vedic literature, and in the Rig Veda he has the healing powers as well. It is said that jaundice is cured by Surya. He is worshipped for the eyesight as well, and his healing power is invoked, and his healing aspects was developed in uh, fuller terms in the Atharved as well. So this has been found mentioned in the Atharved also, and his role as a great physician is stressed in many rites of the Atharved. And it is also it is also said that he has the Surya has the capacity to heal the leprosy as well, and he is invoked to destroy the venomous creatures and unseen insects as well. And these worms and insects are regarded as one of the important causes of disease in the Atharved literature. So this is the third very different aspect of Surya. And the another aspect of Surya is that Surya is a uh, Surya as a time. So Surya has been praised as the uh, time also, and there are references in the 12 Felis, which are the 12 months, the 3 axles, which are the three double seasons, and the 360 spokes, 365 spokes, which are considered as the lunar solar year. So the one wheel is the 1 year. So it means to say that this is the another different aspect of Surya, where he is considered as a time as well. Theomorphic, fetishistic, and the symbolic forms of sun god. Besides the anthropomorphic forms, the sun has been worshipped in the theomorphic, fetishistic, and symbolic forms as well in the Vedic age. Because I have already said that earlier he was not worshipped in the form of human, but he has been worshipped in the form of symbols, in the form of animals in general. So there is no evidence of direct theomorphism in the case of sun god, but it is quite probable that there may have been some animals behind this form of the sun. The Ashwins, they appear to have the horses in the background of their personalities. Pushan and Aj.
Ma'am, kindly unmute yourself, ma'am.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. It's fine. Just for a minute, you got muted. It's fine.
I thought that the entire thing has gone unnoticed.
No, ma'am. Not at all. It's fine.
So
Please
what
continue.
that there is no evidence of direct theomorphism in the case of the sun god, but it is quite probable that there have been sun animals behind this form of the sun. For example, the Ashwins appear to have the horses in the background of their personalities. Pushan and Aj Ekpad, we seem to have the goats behind their character. Vishnu may be a remnant of the bird form, and Surya has been several times described as the horse. Even it is said that he has two daughters and one son, and both the two daughters uh, they came in the form of mare. So there are various animals which have been associated with the sun, and the eagle as well, swan, and the bull also. And in the Rig Veda and in the later Vedic literature as well, besides these identification of the sun god, there are various animal fetishes of the sun in Vedic period. And I'll talk about one by one about these animals one by one. And the first one is the horse. Yeah. On the top left, the horse, and the horse in general, it is symbolic of sun, and this is clear of many descriptions of him in the Rig Veda, as well as in the later Vedic literature. बहुत सारे Vedic literature में और later Vedic literature में there has been references where sun has been considered or sun has been known as he's a symbolic horse is the symbolic of sun, and it is said that the sacrificial steed is fashioned out of sun, and so he has been intimately associated with the horse when it is said that his 7 horses draw him to us. The 7 horses, जैसे सूरज का के साथ घोड़े बताए जाते हैं कि the 7 horses are yoked in his chariot which is driven by Arun, his charioteer, and these 7 horses are Gayatri, Brihati, Jagnati, Ushnish, Tistub, Anushtub, and Pankti. These are the name of the 7 horses of name of the 7 horses which are yoked in the chariot of sun god. And here the horses of the sun god has been directly worshipped. And we can see that in the Ashwini sacrifice also, the horse was employed as the symbol of the sun, as the lord of the heaven. तो सूर्य को भी विजय का, जीत का, शक्ति का, यश का प्रतीक माना गया है. And whereas these Ashwamedh yagnas concerned, the other yagnas concerned, so the horse was employed as the symbol of the sun, as the lord of the heaven. So since it was a right for universal lordship, and it was natural to employ such a symbol because other symbol cannot be fitted in that aspect. It is equally significant to point out that before the horse is set free to wander, offerings are made of cakes to Savitri in various forms for 3 days. इस तरह के rituals perform किए जाते थे when the sun was set free to wander. So there were different type of rituals which were performed for 3 days to Savitri. Savitri is the different aspect of जहाँ पे कहीं पे उनको emerging सूर्य के साथ जो है वो symbolize किया गया है और कहीं पे setting सूर्य के साथ सावित्री को किया गया है. So therefore it is quite probable that the horse in the Ashwamedh Yajna was the sun steed. And the second example we can see on the bottom left is of the bull, and this bull appears to have been another animal fetish of the sun god, and he has been called the bull in the Rig Veda as well. Rohit Rohit is also one of the synonym of the sun god of the which finds his mention in the Atharvaved. It is also described as a bull. So Rohit is also considered as a form of a bull, and thus the bull, though less popular than horse and the bird, is the symbol of the sun god in Vedic literature, and it is symbol of other gods of Indra as well. And it is significant to recall here that in the Harappan culture, the bull was an object of worship as he represents the procreative potency of the sun. What I would like to add that whereas Hindu religion is concerned or the Vedic religion is concerned, Hindus, whatever things have been found beneficial to the humans have been worshipped. ये सारे animals को जिस तरह से देवी देवताओं के साथ जोड़ करके रखा गया, so there was a clear message that there should be a दोनों whether they are the human beings or animals, उनके बीच में एक प्रेम और एक सद्भावना, because they both of them they form the part of the nature. They both are the what I must say, that they both support each other, they both help each other, not only the human beings and the animals, but plants as well. That's why it is in the Vedic literature, in the Puranas, everywhere we find mentioned that some god or another, in fact, every god is associated with some form of, चाहे वो कार्तिकेय को हो, चाहे वो सूर्य का हो, चाहे वो कोई भी हो, every god has been associated with the humans, so that there should be some sort of harmony should be maintained between these two separate identities. The third one is the goat on the top right. The goat also served as an animal fetish to sun god, and Pushan, the sun god, is especially connected with the goat. As I said that there are various forms of sun, and different forms they are associated with different sort of animals. Like bull, he's associated with Rohit, this goat. Goat is associated with Pushan, and this bird. There are generally two types of bird have been found in the have been found the mention, and it is another symbol of the sun god on account of its swiftness of his speed. He has been compared to the bird because of his swiftness, because of his speedy thing. And in the Rig Veda, Surya has been too frequently compared with the bird. Sometimes it is eagle. I have on the bottom right, the figure of eagle is there, and sometimes as a swan and sometimes as falcon. And in few references, a few places, we find the reference of a name of a particular bird which is known as supern. And it is actually very difficult to identify this bird. Probably it may be a mythical one. Yeah. The symbolic forms of the sun god. We can also say that the material object of the sun fetishes. So on the left side, Surya has also been represented by the symbolic objects, symbolic things as well. So many material objects, they are also employed in the Vedic age as symbols representing the deities. The wheel was a popular symbol of the sun god as he was representing both its shape and the motion. If you see the circular shape, we have uska, and the way the wheel moves on. So it represents both the shape and the motion as well. So in the Rig Veda, the wheels of the sun's chariot have found mention too often. And in the sacrifice, Vajpayee Yajna jo hota hai, the wheel symbol of the sun is employed. And in the early series of the Panchmark coins, such symbols are found profusely. So these are the symbolic forms of the sun god. I have this is the wheel. The gold disc on the bottom is the gold disc. So a disc of gold as well as simply the gold, it also served as the symbol of sun god in the Vedic rituals, and a disc of gold resembles the shape of the solar orb, and therefore it is befitting to employ it as a symbol of the sun. Not only in Hindu religion, even in Buddhist religion, even in other religions as well, the symbolic forms of the god has been found mentioned in their literature as well. Uh, the third one is the lotus. The lotus is also employed in the Vedic rituals, probably to symbolize the fertility aspect of the uh, sun god. And there are references of the lotus wreath, which has 12 flowers because there are 12 months in the year. So everything has a specific philosophy behind, everything has a specific reason behind, and the association of lotus and the sun is indicated in the Atharvaved as well. Not only in Rig Veda, but the symbol of lotus has been found mentioned in the Atharvaved also. The fourth symbol is the symbol of the swastik. In Hinduism, the right-facing symbol is called swastik, which symbolizes the Surya and the prosperity, while the left-facing symbol is called swastik, symbolizing night or the tantric aspects of Kali. जैसे हम लोग जब भी स्वास्थ्य कहीं पे बनाते हैं तो the shape is on the left side, ऊपर का जो होता है, so that is called swastik, and uh, it symbolizes the Surya, it symbolizes the prosperity, whereas the left facing, sorry, right facing, it symbolizes the sun and prosperity, whereas the left facing, it symbolizes, it is known as swastik, and it symbolizes night or the tantric aspects which are associated with the goddess Kali. And the clockwise swastik is a solar symbol which suggests the motion of the sun in India, where it appears to enter from the east, then ascend to the south in midday, and exits to the west. ये उसको सिंपल है, सूर्य का उदय जो है वो पूर्व से हुआ, दक्षिणायन होते होते वो इसमें पश्चिम में जाकर के अस्त हो गया. So these are the various symbols which have been These are the symbolic forms of the sun god. And now I'll talk about the epic history period, which starts from 1000 to 600 in BC. And the epic period, because Ramayana and Mahabharata, they have been considered as the epic. So I have taken the picture of uh, the Ramayana and one scene from Mahabharata. And the epic, it brings forth the revolutionary changes in the concept of the sun god, as well as the method of his worship. And firstly, he's the god of a sect. एक sect के वो देवता माने गए. And for the first time, there is a specific reference of a sun sect, um, known as the Sauras in Mahabharata. And it is said that when the Mahabharata war was going on, in the camp of Pandavas, there were 1008 people who were the sun worshippers. And in Mahabharata, there is a hymn also in the praise of sun, and having 108 names, which was communicated by Brahma to Shukra, and from Shukra to it was communicated to Narad. From Narad, it was communicated to Dyum, and by Dyum, it was communicated to Yudhishthir. And in the Ramayana also, the Adit Hriday Srotam uh, uh, extols the sun god to supreme height and identifies him with all the great gods, and he's the lord of even Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh. Epic period में आकर के सूर्य का वर्चस्व काफी ज्यादा बढ़ गया. He has been represented as not only as a human form, but there is a different sect also has been emerged, and he is considered as the lord of even Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh. And the epic methodology of the sun worship is in many ways a survival of the Vedic tradition. And the recitation of hymns, which are sacred to the sun god, they formed an essential features of Vedic as well as the epic literature. And at several occasions, it is said that in the epics that the sun is to be worshipped by means of jap of hymns sacred to him. बहुत जगह ऐसे रेफरेंस आता है कि आदि हृदय सोतम का या सूर्य से रिलेटेड जो है जो भी जप है, जो भी उनसे रिलेटेड श्लोक्स हैं, उनका जो है वो पाठ करना चाहिए. Thus, Yudhishthir worshipped the sun by repeating hymns containing 108 names of the sun god. It is also said that Karna also resorted. Karna is the son of Surya Devta, and he also resorted to the method of jap of hymns, which was sacred to the sun god. And in the Ramayana, Ram invokes the sun god by the jap of Adit Stotam. रामायण के युद्ध से पहले राम से कहा गया था कि वो आदेश हृदय श्रोतम का पाठ करें. So in epics, the sun has been given up the anthropomorphic form, and he has been started getting represented in the form of human. This was a major evolution, or can say the major change, whereas the epic stream period is concerned in terms of sun worship. And since he has become human of human. Yeah. So when we have spoken about the human form, then definitely अगर human form है तो obviously family भी होगी, and this thing has been found mentioned not only in epics but in the Puranic world as well. So whereas the Puranas are concerned, the indigenous tradition of sectarian sun worship reflected for the first time in epic age, and its impact upon the early Puranas world, which ultimately terminated into the full maturity of the later Puranic works. And the sun worship has been found mentioned in Bhagavad Puran Dasham Skandha as well. We find the reference of the Satyajit, who was the friend of सूर्य. तो बहुत सारे ऐसे पुराणों में धीरे धीरे उनके ह्यूमन फॉर्म्स के बारे में और सन वर्शिप के बारे में बहुत सारे एग्जांपल्स मिलते हैं. एंड इन द अर्ली पुराणास द आदित्यास, they have emerged as the most popular names of the sun, and the identity between Aditya and Surya, it is it is expressed in connection with the legend of Satyajit. It is said that when Surya took out the Samyantak money from his neck, Satyajit could see Aditya. Otherwise, he was not even able to see the sun. And in the Matsya Puran, the sun god is invoked under the name of Aditya. So there are various different versions in different Puranas. Matsya Puran में कुछ कहा गया, भविष्य पुराण में कुछ कहा गया, भागवत पुराण में कुछ है. So no doubt that in the early Rigvedic times, Surya is called as Aditya, but its emergence as the popular name of the sun is really an achievement of the epic Puran tradition. And in the early Puranas, the sun god has been given a human personality. In the Vedic period, he has been worshipped in the form of symbols, but whereas epic period and the Puranic period is concerned, he has been given a human personality, and the legions of Satrajit, Aditi, Yagyavalk may be analyzed in this connection. As I have already mentioned, that Satrajit was a friend of sun, and when he prayed to him, the sun appeared before him, but in the natural light form. But when Satyajit requested him to show him his human personality, then Surya emerged, the sun god emerged in the form of human, and whatever description has been found is that he was having the reddish eyes, he was having a copper-colored body, and a dwarfish structure. And these are the I can say the features of sun which has been mentioned in the Puranas. To Yagyapalka, the sun appeared in the form of the horse, and this Puranas leaves no room for doubt that the human form of sun god also came to be developed on the age, and the trend was definitely from the atmospheric to the human form of god. And in all these regions, firstly the sun appeared in his natural form. जब भी वो किसी के सामने प्रकट होते थे, he used to appear in his natural form only, but upon the request of the worshippers, he showed his human personality. Again, with the human form, he is definitely going to have a family. And the method of sun worship is also elaborately described in the later Puranas. Uh, the third, fourth century AD is considered as the time of the Puran literature. Gupta period में बहुत सारे पुराण लिखे गए. And in the later Puranas, many influences may be seen in the evolution of the methodology of the sun worship, such as those of the Vedic tradition, indigenous system, Iranian stream, and tantric practices, and Shiv theology came into being. Yeah, the sun and the humanization of his personality. And the sun god witnessed another revolutionary change in his personality in the epics. He frees himself from the arrested anthropomorphism of the Vedas, and there is a development in his personality towards the free and full humanization. In spite of his descriptions as bull, horse, uh, birds, uh, swastik. He's ever a god with a human personality as well. And in Mahabharata, he's described as appearing in human form in connection with the legions of Kunti, Karn, Yudhishthir, and Jamdagni. When Kunti called the sun earlier, he represented himself in the form of light, but upon her request, he appeared in the form of uh, human form. It was the same case in the whereas Kant was concerned, and it is said that in the legend of Kant, son took the form of a Brahmin, and in connection with the legend of Kunti, um, he took two forms by the power of yoga. The one form was the form of light, and the other form, and in the form of light, he remained in the sky in his natural form, while in his second form was that of a human by which he came to Kunti. And these three pictures I have uh, used in this presentation. The extreme left is the sun image from the Sun Temple of Modhera, and Ms. Kinnari, who is the assistant curator of Kachchh Museum, she has been kind enough to take the photographs and send it to me. So this photograph has been taken by her, whereas these two images are concerned. These are from the Archaeological Museum, Jamnagar, and Ms. Bulbul Hingladia, she is the curator. I tried to collect the sun images, different sort of sun images from various museums of the government of Gujarat, and I have introduced these three. So these two belong to the uh, Archaeological Museum Jamnagar, and the left one is from the Sun Temple of Mudhera. Where you can see in all these pictures, you can see that the standing image of sun is being depicted. We'll come to the iconographic features later on, but now I'm talking about the humanization of the sun god. So he also appeared in the form of Brahman to Jamdagni. Jamdagni was a rishi, and to Yudhishthir also he has shown himself in a human form. Sun was present in the human form when Rishi Agastya asked Ram to recite Aditya Hriday Srutam. उनके सामने भी वो एक मनुष्य के रूप में ही ह्यूमन फॉर्म में ही आए थे एंड इन द अर्ली पुराणास आल्सो ही हैज बीन गिवन द ह्यूमन फॉर्म एंड regions of Satyajit, Aditi, Yagyavalk, Rajyavardhan, they may be analyzed in this connection. Now I'll talk about the family of sun god. As I said that since he has come into the human form, then obviously the family will also come into existence. And with the humanization, it was natural for him to have a family as well. And as per the Puranas, as per there are different versions of the family of the sun god. Not only the family of sun, but the family of the origin of other deities. Whereas Hindu religion is concerned, the Hindu mythology is concerned, there are different versions of um, every god. किसी पुराण में कुछ उल्लेख मिलता है, किसी पुराण में कुछ उल्लेख मिलता है. So it is mentioned that Vatsari, the daughter of Vivaswat, is also considered as a form of Surya, is mentioned as his wife, and she is also known as Sanchana and Saranya. Sanchana is a very famous name. Sanchana is considered as the wife of Surya. In other Puranas, Usha and Pratyusha, they are also considered as the wife of Surya. And in epics, Usha did not find any mention. Therefore, it is suggested that Sanchana is the real wife of Surya. Usha has found the mention as his wife in the Puranas, but not in the epics. And Sanchana has got the mention in epics. That's why she's considered as the real wife of Surya. On the top left, I have taken the picture of the sun god and Sanchana. And Harivansh Puran refers to Chaya, the shadow of Saranya as the wife of Surya. On the bottom left, sun is shown with Chaya. Chaya is also considered as the wife of Surya. And many sons and daughters of the sun, they are also mentioned in the epics and Harivansh Puran as well. Ashwins are considered as the sons by Vatsari, and Shanishchar, जो शनि देव हैं, जो बीच में ईगल के ऊपर बैठे हुए हैं, he is the son by Chaya. He is also considered as the son of sun, and he is the son from Chaya. Sugriv is a begotten of Surya, and at death he enters the disk of the sun. Other sons who return to him at death are the two apes, Shwet and Jyotirmukh. Karna and Yam are also considered as his sons. ऊपर ये यम का है, नीचे यमुना है. यम और यमी ये दोनों भाई बहन हैं, and they are considered as the son and daughter of sun. On the extreme right, this is the image of Karna, who is also the son of Surya. And Suprach, she is the wife of Bhanu, various aspects of sun, and they have different wives altogether. Shraddha, Vanvaswati, Savitri, they are considered as his daughters, the daughters of Bhanu. And it is significant to note that a few of these, such as Shanishchar, Kapil, Bhanu, they are included in the list of the names of sun god himself. As I have already stated that in various places they are considered as the synonyms of the sun, but in other Puranas and in other literature, they have been considered as the son and the daughter of sun god. And in early Puranas, the story of Sanchana and her shadow, Chaya is considered as the shadow of Sanchana. So they are the wives of Surya. And in the Puranas, he has many issues like Yam, Yami, Manu from Sanchana, and two Ashwins, दक्ष and Revant from Sanjnas in mare form. ये दोनों घोड़ी के रूप में जो है वो पैदा हुए थे. And Manu, Shanishar and Tapati, they are the sons and daughters from Chaya. And in some late passage of the early Puranas, the attendants of the sun god Dand and Pingala are also mentioned. And Arun is considered as the charioteer of Surya, and the iconographic features that shows him that he's like the red wheel, is the foregoer of the sun, at whose sight all begin to pray. He is red in color and has no legs. अरुण के पैर नहीं हैं. And the eagle Arun is the son of Garud, and Jatayu and Sampati, who have been found mentioned in the Ramayana, who were the basically the eagles, they are the sons of Arun. And now we come to the iconography of the sun god. These two pictures are from the collection of the Kachchh Museum. The extreme left is the standing image of the sun, which has been brought from Banaskantha, and it is a 18th century sculpture. And on the extreme right, this is the 3rd century AD sculpture of sun. Whereas iconographic features are concerned, both of them, they are more or less same. And the sacred literature starts mentioning about the sun images only in the 5th century AD, but the actual images of the sun have been found from 1 or 2 centuries before the Christian era. This literacy iconographic feature, he has been found in the human form earlier in Vedic and Puranic literature, but where is this iconography is concerned, it is said that it has been found mentioned in the 4th, 5th century AD, which is the time of the Gupta period, but but few actual images of sun have been found from 1 or 2 centuries before the Christian era. So before the evolution of the real cult icons of Surya, there are few human representations of the sun on the pottery and terracotta of the Maurya and Shunga period. And the earliest representation of the sun in the human form is found um, it was found on a pottery piece of the modern period from Patna, in which the deity is standing with Arun, and 4 horses are yoked in his chariot. There is also one Chunga terracotta from Chandraketugarh, which shows that the deity, flanked by 2 females and riding on a tricart, which is drawn by 4 horses. So they may be regarded as precursors of the cursors of the sun images of the uh, first period, which is from 2nd century BC to 2nd century AD, when there is absence of Iranian features of the sun icons. Whatever I have mentioned, I did not mention that he has any Iranian features, because till the time no Iranian features had been introduced into the uh, sun images or the in the iconography. And the second period, which starts from 2nd century AD to 6th century AD, solar iconography opens with the introduction of the Magian form of the sun cult, and it resulted in the adoption of the Iranian features like high boots, northern harness dress, and there is a blending of the Hellenistic, Indian, and Iranian tradition in these images. And many images of the Gandhar and Mathura regions of the Kushan period and post-Kushan period demonstrate such features. Whatever images I have shown, whether they are from the Modera Sun Temple or from the Jamnagar Museum or from Kachchh Museum, we find that we do have the images of the Surya, which has some Iranian influence in their features. And in Gupta period, 2 to 3 varieties of sun images have been found, like Surya in the Bhadrasan pose. I do have one image also, which has been uh, the pic. I have collected the image from the Junagadh Museum. And it is in the Bhadrasan pose, and the standing image of Surya, etc., and the tradition of the solar iconography. It was not confined to the Mathura region, but it extended far and wide to Mahadesh, eastern and western India, and even to Afghanistan as well. That's why we find such type of images in this region. because it was not confined to Mathura region, it extended to various other parts, especially to the Madhya Desh, Eastern and Western India, and even Afghanistan also. And the representative Surya images of these regions of the Gupta and post-Gupta period can be described as the god which is standing and it has two hands. Uh, Here I'll talk about uh, the images which are the sculptures which are there in my museum. Uh, the standing image of sun, he has a plain halo behind his head, and he's wearing a tall cylindrical headdress. And in both of his hands, he holds the full bloomed lotuses, and he's shown wearing the long boots and a long transparent coat tied at his waist by a sash. पटका के द्वारा उसको जो है वो बांधा गया है, and at the bottom you can see that he has been attended by two men on each side, which are Dandi and Pingal, जिनमें से एक अग्नि माना गया है और दूसरा स्कंद और कार्तिकेय. And a perusal of the common characteristics of the sin images of the Gupta period leaves no room for doubt that there is a happy blending of the Iranian and the Indian traditions in the whereas the evolution of these images is concerned. You can see the right image I have used. The coat is very, very transparent in nature. So at times it seems that the god is not wearing the upper body of the deity is not covered with the cloth, but the coat is too transparent in nature, and one can see the high boots, the elongated mukut, the girdle around the waist. It is very clear where this right black image is concerned, and he is also shown wearing the boots. And all these things, they show the adoption of the Iranian features to the fullest extent, and at the same time, invariable holding of lotuses by stalks in both the hands clearly demonstrate the Indian element. So what I'm trying to say that these images, they are a blend of the Iranian and the uh, Indian uh, uh, features, elements. And we can also see that how far the extent sun images conform with the iconographic traits of the sun god as given in the Indian text. The Brihad Samhita, one of the earliest texts of in this respect, it says that the sun god should be dressed in the fashion of the northerner. His body from the feet up to the breast should be covered. In Brihad Samhita, it is mentioned that what should be the iconographic features of the sun god, and he should also wear a crown, and he should hold two lotus flowers by their stalks. His face should be adorned with earrings, and he should wear a long necklace and a sacred waist girdle. So these iconographic features, that what should be the iconographic feature should be there in the deities has found mention in the Brihad Samhita. And the sun should also wear a long necklace and a sacred waist girdle, and there should be a Prabha Mandal also. Prabha Mandal in the sense ki halo, which should be shine like a jewel. And this text omit the mention of chariot, horses, and other attendants of God. So whatever earlier description or whatever earlier mentions we were finding that he was uh, that Arun was in attendance of the sun god, and the seven or the four horses are yoked in his chariot. So these features, they were found missing in the Brihad Samhita, and there is a clear difference where is the North Indian sculptures of sun and the South Indian sculptures of sun are concerned. So in the South Indian sculptures, generally sun is shown very vibrant. He's riding the a chariot. Arun is his chariot, and the seven horses are yoked in his rath. So these are the different features, whereas the North Indian and South Indian forms are concerned. And the other Puran, which is Vishnu Dharmottar Puran, it says that God should have four arms. In general, यहाँ पे जो भी features हैं, he has been represented by the two arms. But Vishnu Dharmottar Puran says that the god should have four arms. He should be covered with a coat of mail, and he should wear a northerner's dress. and an armor, the waist girdle, which is known as yavyang. Alag-alag terminology has also been given in the different Puranas as well. And the staff carrying the dandi is to be shown on his left, and the pen and ink pot bearing will be on his right. So this is the description which has been given in the Vishnu Dharmottara Puran, which is somehow different from the description which has been given in the Brihad Samhita. Matsya Puran says that the image of Surya should have beautiful eyes. He should be seated on a chariot. He should be holding lotuses, and there should be 7 horses and a chakra in the Surya's chariot. He should be decorated with ornaments, and the 2 hands should hold lotuses. His body should be shown as covered with the bodies of 2 pieces of cloth, and the feet should be shown simply. In few images, the earlier sun images, the feet are not shown at all. Even अरुण के भी पैर दिखाई ही नहीं जाते, अरुण के पैर है ही नहीं, but whereas the legs of the sun god is concerned, in the when he has been found mentioned in the epic, his feet has not been shown. And apart from these texts, there are many South Indian texts which do not mention these alien features like Anshubhedgam, Suprabhedgam. And the South Indian images of Surya, they are free from Iranian features, and there are no coat of mails, no boots, and in place of hello, there is a circle, and in place of coat, there is Udarband. And the South Indian figures of Surya has a rule. They are lifted up to the shoulders and are made to hold lotus flowers, which are only half bloom. Whereas the North Indian figures are concerned, they are the full bloom lotuses. Their legs and feet are always bare. जैसे North Indian में है, he is always shown wearing the boot, but whereas the South Indian features are concerned, he is always shown wearing the he's barefoot. Famous sun temples in India. Here I have, although there are so many temples all across the country, but I have selected only few temples uh, uh, because it was not possible for me to include all the temples which are, but I'll give a reference of few other temples which are there in Rajasthan and in other parts of Uttar Pradesh as well. So there was no scope for a temple in the solar religion of the Vedic tradition, as a centered around the worship of the atmospheric form of the sun by means of oblations and liberations in the sacred fire. So the temples were not required because he has not been worshipped in the human form. And the cult of bhakti, which inundated in India after the 5th century, 4th century BC, was responsible for the adoption of the temple tradition. And as regard to the sun cult, we do not find any reference to a temple of the sun in the literature before the 5th, 6th century AD. One can also say that the temples have been introduced during the Gupta period, but the fact is, during Gupta period, the stone and brick temples have been introduced, and temples पहले भी हुआ करते थे, but they were of perishable nature, and that's why we do not find any evidences of temples in the period before the Gupta period. And for the first time, there are references of the Sun Temple, which was established by Sham at Mulistan. Mulistan is the modern day Multan, and in the Samba Bhavish and many of the latest Puranas, this place has been mentioned. And this historic temple of the sun was also visited by Hume Song and Al-Buruni as well. And these Puranas refer to the other temples of Konar as well. So thus by the Gupta period, the temple tradition came to be incorporated in the sun cult by the Hindus. There is a reference of one sun temple at Takshila also, which appears to have been of 2nd century BC, which was associated with fire and sun of Mithraic tradition. And in view of these evidences, it may be suggested that the tradition of the temple for the sun god may be as old as 4th century BC, and like other temples, as I said, that they were made of perishable materials in the Mauritian period, and therefore they got destroyed over a period of time, and it is only from the Gupta period onwards they came to be built in bricks and in stones, and that's why they get evidences of the Sun temples from the Gupta period onwards. Uh, there are many Sun temples at medieval times from 7th century to 12th century AD in Western India. For example, the Modhera Sun Temple, Somnath Patan, Kinderkheda. These are the various places where the sun uh, temples have been found. And there are also temples in Rajasthan at Dholpur. Um, and the temple of Rajasthan, Dholpur, belongs to the 9th century AD. And there are temples of sun god in Surohi and Bharatpur as well. This is the image of the Martand temple, Kashmir, which is of 8th century AD. And it was made by Lalitaditya, and it is 53 kilometers away from Anantnag, from Srinagar. It is 53 kilometers away. And this temple is 5 kilometers away from Anantnag. Basically, it is in Anantnag district of Jammu and Kashmir. And it was a good example of Kashmiri style. And later on, it got destroyed due to the whatever the present circumstances of Jammu and Kashmir are concerned. So this Hindu temple got destroyed. Apart from that temple, there is a temple at Gop Kathiawar is also taken by scholars at some temple, and it is dated to the 5th and 6th century AD. This is the Sun Temple Kunar, which is a 16th century AD temple, and in history, Narsingh first of the Eastern Ganga dynasty is the builder of this magnificent temple. And according to the legends, the Sun Temple at Konark, it was constructed by Narsingh first to get himself cured from leprosy. It has been mentioned in the legends, but in history it appears that he built it to memory in his victory ever far and wide regions. So, because of his victories, he has got this temple erected. But whereas the legends are concerned, they say that he erected this temple because he wanted to get himself uh, cured of the leprosy, as the Puranic literature also finds the mention in the Rig Veda. It has been found mentioned that Surya has the capacity to cure the leprosy, and the sun god in the chariot is the conqueror of the whole universe. And this temple of Odisha is a Nagara style temple. I'm not going to get into the details about the Nagara style and all. And this is the Sun Temple at Modhera. Uh, in Gujarat, many temples of medieval period have been found, and this is the temple of Modhera, which is again dedicated to the sun god. On the left side, this is the image of the temple, and this is the Kund. Earlier, it was known as Sun Kund, but now I have come to know that it is known as Ram Kund. So these are the images, and again, I would like to thank Ms. Kinnari Joshi, who is the assistant curator of Siddipur Museum. She was kind enough to provide these images to Kachchh Museum. And so thank you, Kinnari. Thank you so much. And on the top, I have in every slide, I have used the map so that it would be easier for people to understand in what region these temples have been found. Uh, there are various examples or earliest examples of sun temples in Rajasthan, which have been found in Jodhpur and Chittorgarh as well, and they may be dated towards the 8th century AD. So I mean, in general, I'm telling about you what type of museum and the museums of the sun god, which have been constructed in the different periods altogether, in the medieval period, in the ancient period as well, have been found mentioned in the not only in the epics and legends and in the history as well. So there are many festivals which are dedicated to the sun god, and here I have taken the pictures of the celebration of the various festivals which are dedicated to the sun. So this is the image of Makar Sankranti. Makar Sankranti is predominantly it is a harvest festival and is celebrated in India, Nepal, and few parts of Bangladesh also. And it is a significant day because the sun enters to the into the Makar Rashi, the Capricorn one. And as per the Vedic astrology, it generally falls on the 14th or 15th January every year. And known by Makar Sankranti is also known by different regional names like in Uttar Pradesh, it is known as Khichdi. Gujarat and in Rajasthan, it is known as Makar Sankranti, Gujarat Uttarayan, or Sankranti, etc. And the festival is generally celebrated with great enthusiasm. And in this slide, I have taken the pictures because from um, City Palace Jaipur, where this event has been uh, celebrated with great enthusiasm. And on the extreme right, I have uh, displayed the, I have taken the picture, whereas this kite, the kite which is made of cloth has been displayed. And this is unusual bigger size kite. It was known as tukkal. It was made of muslin clothes. And the enlightened ruler of Jaipur, Maharaja Savai Ram Singh II, he had a fascination of kites, and he even invited the uh, kite flyers, जिन्हें पतंगबाज भी कहते हैं, uh, of international acclaim for purpose and pleasure sports. So there were so many karkhanas in every royal household. There are different industries, different karkhanas like in Mughals also. So इसी तरह से पतंग वाला भी पतंग कारखाना was also there, and this big size kite is known as tukal, and it is made of muslin cloth and adorned with gold and silver bells at the tail, which used to produce the melodic notes in the sky. In this image, obviously it is not there. And the flying thread, you can see huge size flying thread. It was also known as sadda, and it was very eco-friendly since it was made with cotton, which used to cause no harm to the birds and humans. Like nowadays, the people use the manchas, and the manchas they are very dangerous whereas birds are concerned. And kites which were flown to the competition has a legend that it was the king's kite which everyone used to cut and grab. So there was a sort of recreation, there was a sort of celebration, purpose, pleasure, all got involved. On the extreme left, one can see the image of the Sabai Padmanabh Singh, who is the uh, member of the royal family of Jaipur. He is shown holding the kite, and this is the photograph from the kite festival of 2017. And on the bottom, this is the terrace of one building called Sarvato Bhadra, and every year it is celebrated with great enthusiasm and City Palace. The kite festival is celebrated with great enthusiasm in City Palace, and this is the pictures which have been taken from that. And this tukal, which is displayed, it is considered as one of the prized position of City Palace, and belonged to the. It was the personal kite of Maharaja Savai Ram Singh II, and the custom of kite flying continues even today also, as the rooftop of the at the rooftop of Sarvatobhat. Visitors, they are allowed to come, they are allowed to fly kites, and they are also even offered a refreshment as well. Um, they are being served with delicacies, tilka laddu, pakoras, and all that. Yeah, this is the Chhat Puja. Chhat Puja, it is again dedicated to the sun god Surya, and sun is the god who is visible to every being. And this was the concept in Rig Vedic period, because since sun is visible to everyone, that's why there was the form was anthropomorphic. The human form did not come into existence; it came later on. So the sun is the creator, and he's the basis of life of all creatures in on earth. And along with the sun god Chatti Maya, she is also worshipped on this day. And according to the Vedic astrology, Chatti Maya or Chatti Mata, she protects the offsprings and of the ladies, and provides longevity to them. And this picture has been given by one of my friend, one of my school friend of almost 27 to 28 years, Pallavi Srivastav. So she has given me this because in eastern part of Uttar Pradesh, it is celebrated not only in the eastern part of Uttar Pradesh, but in the Indian states of Bihar, Jharkhand, and southern parts of Nepal. This festival is being uh, celebrated, and the prayers during Chhath Puja, they are dedicated to the solar deity Surya. He shown gratitude and thankfulness for bestowing the bounties of life on earth and granting of certain wishes. So Chhath Puja is also one puja which is dedicated to the sun god, and uh, uh, there are various rituals which are being observed during the festivals, which almost last for 4 days, and this includes the bathing, fasting, abstaining from drinking water, जल भी नहीं पिया जाता है, निर्जल व्रत रखा जाता है, standing in water and offering prasad and arg, especially the arg to the setting and rising sun both. उगते और अस्त होते हुए सूर्य दोनों को अर्घ दिया जाता है. These are the other pictures from the Chhath Puja. Yeah, these are the another festival which is dedicated to sun is the Shambh Dashmi. Shambh Dashmi is a festival which is unique to the state of Orissa, and it is celebrated on the 10th day of the शुक्ल पक्ष of the पौष मास, जो हिंदी के महीने होते हैं अभी अगहन पूस जो दिसंबर का महीना आता है, तो उस समय ये दिस फेस्टिवल इज बीइंग सेलिब्रेटेड or waxing phase of moon in the month of Posh. Posh is generally the December to January, and as per the traditional or per the Hindu calendar, and this festival is especially celebrated in the eastern part of the Orissa. Here on the left side, I have taken the picture of the Sun Temple at Kunar, and in the right image, on the right side, I have selected few uh, images where the rituals are being performed by a male member, and the offerings have been. These are the various dishes which have been made during the Shambh Dashmi. And according to the legend, Shambh was the son of Krishna, and he was afflicted by leprosy, and he was cured by the sun god Surya after 12 years of worship and penance near Konark. So that's why this Shambh Dashmi is being celebrated, especially in the part of Odisha. And on this day, mothers pray to Surya for the health of their children. So this is the purpose behind. Yeah. Another festival which is dedicated to sun is the Rath Saptami, or can say the Surya Jayanti. As Rath Saptami is a Hindu festival which falls on the seventh day uh, in the Shukla Paksh of the Hindu month Magh. Phagun se pehle jo mahina aata hai, Phagun is the March, and because the Hindu calendar it starts from from April, so this is the second last month of the Indian calendar. So this Rath Saptami, it falls in the month of Magh, and it is symbolically represented in the form of sun god who is turning his Rath, which is drawn by 7 horses, and towards the northern hemisphere and in a northeasterly direction. It also marks the birth of Surya, and hence it is celebrated as the Surya Jayanti, or we can say the birth of the sun god. And this Saptami is also symbolic of the change of season to spring. See, where is this Makar Sankranti and Pongal, etc. festivals were concerned, they were also celebrated because they are harvest festival and the change of season to spring and the start of the harvesting season. And so ये जितने भी festivals हैं, more or less there is a Saptami, Surya Jayanti, and this Makar Sankranti, Pongal, etc. are concerned. They are basically the uh, festivals for the harvesting season, and for most Indian farmers, it is an auspicious beginning of the new year as well. Because in several parts of India, the new year is considered differently. In Gujarat, after Deepavali, the new year begins, whereas in the parts of Uttar Pradesh, the new year starts from the month of Chet, that is April. And this Rath Saptami festival, it is generally observed by all the Hindus in their houses and in the temples which are dedicated to sun. And one more festival is left, which is known as Pongal. पहली वाली slide में मैंने दिखाया था. It is also the harvest festival and it is dedicated to the sun god, and it corresponds to the Makar Sankranti, and every year it also falls in the same day, maybe in January 14th or 15th. And Pongal festival, it is actually a 4-day celebration, and each day it is marked with different festivities. First day is called the Bhogi festival, second day is called Thai Pongal, third day is called Mattu Pongal, and fourth day is called Kanu Pongal, and the festivities are different from each day, and it is basically a festival which is celebrated in the uh, South India, especially in Tamil Nadu. Yeah, now I have mentioned the in the popular culture. So in 1988, the serial Mahabharat, it was aired on Doordarshan, and it was an Indian language epic television series which was based on the ancient Sanskrit epic Jai Samhita or Mahabharat, and it was it has total 94 episodes. I have taken this picture because it shows Pankaj Ji, who has played the role of Karn in Mahabharat, and this is the image of Indra. Uh, so, so, yes, okay. So this I have taken the picture just to give a glimpse that uh, how the sun is popular whereas the culture is concerned. And Pankaj Ji, he played the role of Karn. He was the son of Kunti and Surya. He was also known as Adhirath, as Radha's foster son, and was the king of Ang, husband of Kushali and Supriya, father of Prishasen, Chitrasen, Satyasen, Sushen. So uh, as I said that every Puran, every literature mentions different names of the wives and the children. So these are the names of his wife. So was Vaishali, and she's also known as Supriya, and he was the father of 4 sons. And in the top right, I have taken the image of Suryaputra Karna. It is an Indian mythological epic television series which was premiered on 2015 on Sony Entertainment Television. And Gautam Rode, he has played the role of Karn in Suryaputra Karna. Yeah, these are various news entertainment channels. The Sun Next is an Indian video on demand service which is run by the Sun TV network. The Sun News, it's a 24-hour Tamil news satellite television channel whose headquarters are there at Chennai. And it is a part of India's largest media network. And this is the image of the Sun Music, which is also a 24-hour music channel, which was led by the well-known Sun TV network of India, and the channel features Tamil music from Kollywood. And generally, all these channels, they are based in South India only. And the channel features Tamil music from Kollywood, and most of the shows in Sun Music, they require call-in audience participation in the sense where the callers, they speak to the video jockey and request songs that may be dedicated to the loved ones. Like earlier, it was in the radio as well, जहाँ पे डिमांड पे म्यूजिक या सॉन्ग जो है वो सुनाया जाता था. This is a Surya comedy. It is a TV channel which is focused on comedy, and it broadcasts in Malayalam on the Sun TV network, which is based in Kochi, Kerala. Yes, these are the images of the yoga, or can say the Surya Namaskar. So these are also the things which are quite popular in culture, whereas this the sun is concerned. So there are various stages of the Surya Namaskar. अलग अलग जो है वो उनके स्वरूप होते हैं किस तरह से किया जाए. Yeah, Indian classical dance. I have taken the picture of Bharatnatyam because it is said that there are various poses and various poses which are dedicated to the sun god. So it is quite visible that not only in other cultures, not only in iconography, not only in religion, the dance has also involved the dedication towards the sun, whereas few moves um, and few dance postures, they are dedicated to the sun god. That's why I have taken this picture. Thank you.
Make sure you like, share, and follow us at Museums of Gujarat on Facebook and YouTube. And remember to press the notification button on YouTube to be notified whenever we post a new video.